Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro digital gaming president resigns after numerous Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons controversies. Don't let the digital door hit your ass on the way out. Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to the GNRO Minicast. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drak. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And once again, this is the show where I take a particular article that I've been reading throughout the week, and I give my thoughts on it in podcast format with you guys. And once again, we have a wonderful article brought to us by boundingintocomics.com with Spencer McCooley as the author. So let's get into it, because this is once again a continuation of all of the bullshit happening over at Hasbro, specifically Wizards of the Coast. In a sudden staffing shakeup that will come as little surprise to Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons players, after a brief controversy-filled tenure of just 2 years, Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming president Cynthia Williams has announced her resignation from the popular gaming publisher. Yes, I'm not surprised by this in the slightest, especially now that we know so well how great the business is going at Hasbro these days. Williams' exit was first disclosed on April 17th via an official corporate filing made by Hasbro with the United States Exchange and Securities Commission, the SEC. Therein, the company announced on April 15, 2024, Cynthia Williams, president of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro Gaming, informed the company of her resignation from the company effective April 26, 2024. The company is conducting a process to identify her successor, looking at both internal and external candidates. They will find an external one, and nobody will like the pick. As noted above, though sudden Williams' exit is far from unsurprising. Appointed to her now former role in February 2022 after her predecessor, Chris Cox, that's an unfortunate name, was promoted to his current position as Hasbro CEO, because it's going so well for them right now. Williams' time with the company saw the main division under her control, Wizards of the Coast, marred by nearly endless controversy. In regards to the publisher's popular Magic the Gathering card game under her leadership, the brand suffered such reputational disasters as the release of a set featuring race-swapped versions of classic Lord of the Rings characters, a player being threatened with jail time after being accidentally but legally sold a then-upcoming booster box ahead of its street date, oops, and the introduction of a product release schedule so constant, nearly one set every month, that players have found themselves avoiding buying any new cards whatsoever out of fear that they could be rendered worthless near immediately after purchase. Wow, I didn't even know about the one set a month. That is overkill. There's a reason that other card games don't do that shit. I think the closest that's been is maybe Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Have tried doing it, like in a 2-month window, but now they kind of stick to every 3 months is what they try to aim for, which is, for the card game, it's actually worthwhile. I actually personally think it could be like every 4 months, just to add a little bit more variety into it. Meanwhile, Wizards of the Coast other big-name title, Dungeons & Dragons, saw those in charge of its production decry white male players simply for existing. You're welcome. An attempt to introduce a highly predatory open game license, which got protested by everyone, and make several sensitivity and diversity-related changes to its core identity, such as the removal of the terms race and half-species from the game's lexicon. Oh, and by the way, none of that is sticking, because I know plenty of people who play Dungeons & Dragons and still allow half-elves, still allow half-orcs, still allow half-dwarves, still allow a lot of shit. So how well did that work out for you, Wizards? Further, and perhaps providing some insight as to why the publisher stumbled so much during her time in charge, as revealed by Williams herself in a 2022 interview with GeekWire's Thomas Wilde, rather than ensuring their products remained accessible, affordable, and compelling, her main leadership focus for Wizards of the Coast was instead the continued promotion of diversity across both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons. Oh, and I love the accessible, affordable part, because it's been anything but accessible and affordable, and frankly, a lot of the problems in regards to that, the D&D community is fixed by not using your shit. Since I got here, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I need my PR voice here. Since I got here, it has very much been about inviting more people to the party and making sure that they found a space where they could express who they are, except if you're white and male, then fuck you and everything you stand for. Our games teach that diversity is a strength. D&D in particular will teach you that together you can overcome tasks, challenges, or an adventure that you wouldn't have been able to on your own. Except you don't want to be able to do that because a majority of the people who play D&D actually play D&D are the people you hate. When you're playing Magic, you're seeing the diversity of the world in the characters. Not really. You see yourself. Not really. I love the stories of people playing Dungeons and Dragons and being able to express who they are in that game. No, usually those people are being banned from the table. Because they're not trying to be who they are, they're trying to be somebody that either they admire or aspire to be, or an actual living, breathing character, as opposed to a bunch of the Mary Sues that a lot of these decisions have created. Oh, and also the rampant epidemic of main character syndrome, which leads them to being able to express who they are in their real life. They could do that just fine. We're very much cultivating that level of diversity as we're inviting players in and also kicking them out at the same time. Yeah, I can totally understand why you had to step down, because even though this article doesn't mention it, I already also know one other simple factor. You weren't making money, and Hasbro likes making money, because somehow, for some reason, I know it's greedy and all that, and there are greedy intentions over at Hasbro, but you kind of need money to keep the lights on. And whether or not Cynthia Williams or Hasbro want to admit this, they fired her because of these controversies, and the fact that these controversies have been driving players away from the medium in droves. You wonder why she's gone now. Because nobody wants her here. She makes it very difficult for those of us, like myself, who want to be able to include people in Dungeons and Dragons, and be able to include people in card games like Magic the Gathering, and she just kind of throws a monkey wrench into the whole damn thing and doesn't make any of us want to purchase any of the source materials, any of the cards, any of the books, anything like that, and instead go to places like Pathfinder in order to be able to do what we love. Alright? And it's really sad, too, because I actually did like a lot of the things that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition did, but now that, we have a lot of those issues, well, I'm not really following modern rules. I would tend to find a group, if I could right now, I would find a group that would basically try to follow the base edition of 5th edition, not all of these rules of, like, you can't be a house elf because that's a press elf. You're in a fantasy simulation. No. Take your Oppression Olympics and go somewhere else, please. But overall, yeah, my thoughts are, I'm not surprised that they fired her. I'm not willing enough to admit that I don't think she resigned. I think she was pressured to resign, which as far as I'm concerned is fired. And Hasbro is still in a death spiral even after she's been let go. And frankly, I don't even know if Wizards or Hasbro are ultimately going to recover, because I already know that Hasbro has been taking a lot of their toy licenses and, well, outsourcing them to other people, because it tends to be a lot more expensive to make toys these days, and maybe Hasbro wants to get out of that market. That's my guess, but once again, special thanks over to Spencer McCooley and Bounding Any Comics for the article. My thoughts are, good riddance to bad rubbish. Hopefully Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro Digital Gaming can get somebody that actually cares about the property and will be able to start bringing money in. But right now, given the climate over at Hasbro, I'm not that hopeful. And of course, if you guys have an opinion, feel free to leave a comment down below and let's have that conversation. Also, if you like the video, make sure to like it and make sure to subscribe to the channel, because it definitely helps out with all the YouTube algorithms. And basically says to YouTube that yes, there is content out there like this that I enjoy, that I want to see more of, and I love the fact that just pisses off all the people at YouTube even more. And I will see you guys next time for the next GNRO Minicast. Until then, take care, my friends.